YouTubers? Today we're going to make our Star Wars lightsaber mirror cake. If you haven't watched the video on how we made the lightsaber, a link to that will be in the description, or you can click up above. Everything that you need will be in the description box. Let's jump right in. Here are the cakes I baked for our Star Wars Galaxy cake. As you can see, we've got a lot of really nice colors in our galaxy. If you want to know how I made this, we did this technique for our M&M anti-gravity cake and also our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle camouflage cupcakes. That's a real mouthful. There'll be links to those in the description box. Let's go ahead and get started on putting our cake together. To put our cake together, I first have a cake board here, and I trimmed it to the size of my cakes. You don't want it any larger than your cake. You want it the same size or just slightly smaller because we're going to pour glaze over it and we don't want the glaze setting on top of the cake board. And cake boards have a little hole here, has like a little round tab, and you can just punch that out, and you want to do that. You're going to need some sort of buttercream frosting. I've got a chocolate buttercream frosting here that I'm going to use, but you can also use just a regular white buttercream. It really makes no difference. We're going to cover it up with our glaze anyway. You're going to need a milkshake straw and a spatula of some sort to frost your cake. I like these little offset spatulas. I'm going to go ahead and frost up my cake, and then I'll show you the next step. I've stacked and frosted my cake. Now, I did not spend a lot of time smoothing the sides and the top. A pretty heavy layer of glaze sets on the top, so it hides any real light imperfections in your frosting. The sides, you get less of a coating. So I have done this cake before, and I kind of like seeing some dimension on the sides of my cake. So I've chosen not to smooth it out a whole lot. It's totally up to you. You can spend a lot of time getting it totally smooth, or leave it with a little bit of imperfection and get a little dimension. With a galaxy cake, it makes sense. Our galaxy isn't 2 dimensions. Next step is we're going to take our milkshake straw and we're going to stick it through the hole in the bottom up to the middle of our cake. Now this is where you really could use an extra set of hands. One to hold up the cake and then one to stick the milkshake straw up through that hole. I don't have an extra set of hands, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and it's not going to be pretty. After a little acrobatics, I did manage to get my milkshake straw through the middle of my cake. Be sure to clean any cake out of your milkshake straw or put a new one in. That's what I did because I had plenty of them. Now I'm going to put this in the freezer, and we're going to make our mirror glaze. The ingredients that you're going to need to make our mirror glaze is 8 ounces of white chocolate. These are just white chocolate chips. A half a cup of sweetened condensed milk. A half a cup of water. A quarter cup of water. A cup of sugar. A half a cup of light corn syrup. 2 packets of Knox unflavored gelatin. And, of course, food color. I'm going to be using more than just these 2 colors, but you're going to need some gel food coloring in whatever colors that you want to use. In addition to the ingredients for our mirror cake, we're also going to need a candy thermometer, a strainer, a foil-lined baking tray, and either a bowl or a vase that lifts your cake up and isn't as wide as your cake board. You want the cake board to overhang a little bit. Now, let's go ahead and whip up our mirror glaze. The first step to our mirror glaze is we need to bloom our gelatin. So I have my 2 packages of Knox unflavored gelatin and my half a cup of water. And I'm going to add my gelatin to the water. And I'm going to stir it up until it's all combined and get as many of the lumps out as I can. Next, to a saucepan, I'm going to add my 1 cup of sugar, my half a cup of light corn syrup, and a quarter cup of water. And we'll stir that together. Now we're ready to take this over to the stove. I've got my mixture on the stove at medium heat, and we're just going to whisk this until it reaches a boil. Our mixture has reached a good boil, and now to that I'm going to add my bloomed gelatin, and I'm going to stir that in until it's fully dissolved. Finally, I'm going to add my ½ cup of condensed milk, and we'll just whisk that in. Now we're ready to take this back over to our work area. Now I'm going to pour the hot mixture over my chocolate chips. Now we're going to let this set for a couple minutes to let the chocolate chips melt in our hot mixture. Now I'm just going to whisk my mixture until all the chocolate chips have melted. This can take a couple more minutes. Now that it appears all my chocolate chips have been incorporated, I'm going to pour my mixture through the strainer into another bowl. This will remove any unmelted chocolate chips and also any undissolved gelatin. Now we're ready to move some of our mixture into some separate bowls and add some food coloring. I took some of the mixture and put them into separate bowls. In this big bowl I took out a ½ cup and I dyed it black. In the other three I took out about ¼ cup and I dyed them a bright pink, a purple, and kind of a teal color. To the remainder of my mixture, I dyed it kind of a dark indigo blue. I used an Americolor Navy Blue 134 and an Americolor Super Black 201 to do that. I had about 2 drops of the navy and 1 drop of the super black. The other colors are just Wilton colors that I actually picked up at my local grocery store. I'll put that information in the description box for you. Now I'm going to take my candy thermometer and put it into my large bowl here, and we're going to set and wait until it reaches 90 degrees Fahrenheit. My mixture is hit 90 degrees. I poured it back through a strainer into this littler bowl just to help take out any air bubbles, and this bowl's a little easier to manage. Now I'm going to take some of my black mixture and I'm going to spoon it in. And I'm going to just kind of swirl it around my base blue color here. Now we're ready to pour it onto our cake. Now quickly I'm going to start adding our colors here. And I'm just going to randomly drizzle them around. Next, I'm just going to very, very lightly take my spatula and just go lightly over the top. And here is our galaxy cake. We're going to let this set for about 30 minutes. That'll let the remaining glaze that needs to drip off. And then we'll add a few stars to our galaxy. It's been about 30 minutes, and we can start cleaning off these little drips right here at the very bottom. You can use your spatula or a sharp knife and just clean those up a little bit. Now to add some stars, I've got some white food coloring here, and I'm just going to put some in a little bowl. And I have kind of a stiff brush here, and I'm going to dip it in my white, and then I'm just going to flick it onto our cake. You can put as few or as many stars on as you want, but every galaxy has got to have stars in it. Now that we have our stars added on, we just have to set and wait. We need to let this set for at least 2 to 3 hours to let the glaze firm up completely, and then we'll be ready to put on our lightsaber. I needed something to put my cake on, And because we're going to have the lights running up through the middle of the cake, I needed it to be a raised platform so that underneath here I can hide all the other lights that I'm not using. It's just a heavy bowl that I actually just bought at my dollar store, and I covered it in a baking tray with some black vinyl. And this is what I'm going to use for a platform for my cake. Here's our lightsaber that we made. And to determine how much wire I need to come out of my platform and through my cake into my lightsaber here, I measured from the bottom of the handle to the top of the test tube, not including this part of the flex tubing because that's going to be pushed down into the cake. And I added that with the height of my cake, and that should be how much wire I need sticking out of my platform. So somehow, with one set of hands, I'm going to put this wire up through the milkshake straw, and then I'll pull out the milkshake straw, and we'll put our lightsaber into the cake with our lights sticking up through it. But we'll see. Here we go. A little more acrobatics. With a little bit of maneuvering and a little bit of luck, I got my wire up through the milkshake straw and out the top of our cake. I got rid of the milkshake straw, and now we're ready to put on our lightsaber. So here is the handle part of our lightsaber, and I'm just going to run my wire through, and now we'll just carefully push it down into our cake. Now we can finish putting our lightsaber together. There we go. Oh, man, this would have been a lot easier with somebody else here to help, but I managed. So if you have a helper, this really is easy to do. So there you have our Star Wars Galaxy lightsaber cake. Let's go ahead and turn out the lights and turn on our lightsaber. And there you have it. I don't know if it shows up very well on camera, but you can see the reflection of the lights from the lightsaber in the top of the mirror cake. It's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please join our channel. You can hit the subscribe button up above. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back soon.